So at least in the woods, I can use a proper stick, right? I feel more appropriate. Just use this pole. And I have to go and find it, right? It's here somewhere. Come. Where's it? Yes, it is. Bring it to me. Come here. Me. That's Enys. She's a member of my pack. You'll see where the corners are. I've used beetle banks and had to turn the path to kind of guide people. It's very easy to make a path you can see from one direction, but it's completely invisible from the other direction. I probably could. In fact, I would do. But it's easier than this. And try, because I don't have to grip it so hard. But I'm getting there. I've probably only got no, it's probably need 2 hours more. It won't be today. And then this whole area is done. And when it comes after the bluebells, that's the time to get down yourself and pull out all the ones that you can, because there'll be hardly any of them. But if you get one that comes up and grows strong, there's probably a horizontal runner route here. And you want to try and find that guy by kind of dragging for it with a fork or something and getting them out. As long as you keep their edge back now, just by strimming, then it'll stay clear after that. Only the flat bit I would do, where I would go right to the end behind the tent area, and then you got that sort of child-safe area. So it's easy to tell a story when you can make out you're the big hero, but what about when it's entirely your fault? So this story, I have never told this story whatsoever in my life, because I have never remembered the incident until now-ish, when I try to find the memories again. So I was living a 30-ish foot journo piece of crap across the Mediterranean. It was a delivery, and it's a summer delivery, boring as. So they're quick shuttles. You pick up the boat in the south of France, take it to Turkey, job done. Normally it's the sort of trip everybody would love to do out in the sun. How boring. But fortunately, there's always the Mistral to keep you busy. Now, on an ocean crossing, you need 3 crew for insurance. Insurance owns the world, essentially. Forget law, it's insurance. So, but in the Mediterranean, you can go with 2. So, as a delivery skipper, it's a contract. I'm earning money. So, one person is enough. But, there's a schedule. I have to take who I can find. So usually, if I have to, I always try to take 2, because probably one of them will be need a lot of learning, shall we say. But this time I could only get one guy, had to take the guy, but he'd done all the courses and everything, so you have to have a hope. So my crewman turned up, and it's one of the most unpromising people I've ever met. And don't take this the wrong way, but basically the reason he had all the courses is he'd been on long-term unemployment for his entire life, probably 20 years. And he was doing the training things because he wanted to be a flotilla skipper in Greece, was his concept. Seems unlikely. Now, the thing about this guy particularly, he was the most absolute racist I've ever met in my entire life. As far as he's concerned, East European people are black as far as he's concerned. So when the people come from, Bulgaria or Romania to pick fruit, as far as he's concerned, they shouldn't be here because they're taking his job away. Not that he wants that job in the slightest, because he's never done any physical work, you can see. But it's okay for him to go and work and get a proper job in Greece, but they can't get a job unless they have a restaurant. So obviously I absolutely despise this person, but it's fine.
And all I need from this guy on this trip, because it's mainly open sea, is a self-propelled autopilot is what I require, because he certainly isn't going to do sail handling, because one of the very few people I've had on a boat I absolutely could not teach anything to, and I can teach anyone. So here's what happened, right? It's another great piece of steering. It's the piece of amazing helming of which I am so ashamed now that I make myself remembering it. Um, so it's a night watch, and I deliberately left the south of France because I know the Mistral is coming. But by the time I get there, I'll be south of Sardinia where I want to be. So I won't get a force 9, I'll get a force 7. It'll save me a pile of diesel, and then I won't have to refuel in the Straits of Messina. So at this time, I'm on watch at night. Um, you can imagine the problem with being in a situation for crews is tiring. I simply can't have him on watch when there's any land or navigation required. That will be not appropriate to the situation. And to set somebody up to fail is not the way. So I'm on watch and I'm extremely tired. The boat is running downhill on headsail only, as would normally be the case. I'm certainly not going to have the mainsail up with that guy on in case he turns the boat. If he takes the autopilot off, we're obviously going to jibe instantly as far as I'm concerned. So I'm on watch, extremely tired. And I remember I was behind the wheel. I'm kind of slightly leaning against it because the wheel moving kind of keeps me going, except it didn't. So I just remember the moon was just rising in the south, and then I obviously nod off. You see the problem. The moon does not rise in the south. Ships rise in the south. In this case, the Palermo to Marseille fast ferry, a large ship making at least 25 knots, um, as I soon found out. So I was woken up, or at least my subconscious lookout is listening, as should be, because I'm totally aware normally uh, in a subconscious part while I'm asleep is always watching, especially in a situation. So what woke me up was a low vibration sort of thundering that's come through to me in my sleep. That's not supposed to be there, so I'm instantly awake and standing, orientate, hard to miss, is the ship. Now, the situation now is I'm running downhill with the headsail pulled out, probably by the boom, as I normally would use as a method. Um, the ship here is here. The range is approximately 50 meters. My vessel, with T-crossing, he hasn't seen me at all. This is, it's my fault, obviously, not theirs, but they should have seen me. They could have seen me. So I was just hacked straight in front of me. Probably he's just decided he has a right of way, but obviously does not. That happens a lot that you have to deal with. So the ship is so it's 50, but now it's 40 meters because going very fast. I'm probably making 9 to 8 sustained at this point, cruising speed, yes, 8 knots probably. I'm already overlapping, and my bow is probably in line with the torpedo bunch central at this point. I'm obviously going to be run over. Okay, that is second 1. Second 2, I hit the controls by dropping on them. Emergency start the engine. This is our only chance of survival now, is to sail it out of the impossible situation. So the full power on the throttle as I start. So any new engine particularly, or certainly any modern good service diesel engine will start in gear, and you believe it. So the engine starting in gear, there's no need to put the lever forward and crash the gears because you're off. So I go instantly to full power. My crewman is fast asleep right next to the engine at this time, bear in mind. Comfy in his pajamas, no doubt. So I now have full power on the engine. The range now is probably 15 meters. Um, I'm just going to clear the torpedo, but I will not clear the opposite bow. It's not going to happen. So I must steer it out. A pressure wave is the only way to get through. Um, it was extremely close. If I'd waited to put the engine into gear, we'd both be dead now for certain. Um, obviously you have to consider, I've now got a model in my mind of the situation that I'm enacting in real time to take the actions. So as soon as I have engine on, I'm on the helm. I can't change course or anything because any change of crossing vector will doom us. It's that going to be that close. As the ship starts to pass, so now the torpedo bulge behind me is now past me, and the bow is now going right over here. So as I come into the pressure wave, I give it a light left angle because I'm going to use it's driving a pressure wave in front of it. I can not really surf in it, but I can use it. As the closer the propeller gets, the further I get from the steeper bit to the shallow bow, um, and the closer it gets, and the less wind thrust I have, the more I'm getting from the engine, which is better in this type of boat, is in the right place for me. So the closer I am to it, the more thrust the engine will give me as it has a solid object, because obviously the ship is sort of 10 meters deep into the water, a cliff, as it were. Something to reflect, something as a reflector of my thrust. So basically, in the short version, then, I steered it out and I missed it by, I would say, approximately as I came to the straight side of the ship that it had, the distance was approximately half a meter at this time, and then I was clear. Um, and I'd survived again, as it were. And more importantly, even though I utterly despise my racist crewman, he didn't deserve me to kill him stupidly, if you consider it. Um, so as soon as I was clear, I just stopped the engine because there's no point cooling it down, not like emergency starting it. So I just turned it off. I listened down. I put it back on autopilot. I listened down. Not a sound, not a sight. He must have been deafened. Absolutely no interest. He hasn't even looked out the window, the porthole. And there's a massive ship just went past. And it's like absolutely, it's a cruise ship. Effectively, it's like you can't miss it. How can you not hear that? It's got engines, right? So no word was ever said because he was oblivious to the event. And I reset course, set sail, and job done. So that took about a minute. Looking to the left, the ship was hull down at the horizon by now, within a minute, relative to my altitude or view. So that gives you an idea of how short the whole thing. And I would say, because I now know what was happening, I probably just blacked out for like less than 3 minutes, probably, because of her speed. But 3 minutes can be a long time in your life. Now, after that, what happened then? When I talk about the flashbacks that I had when I did not capsize the catamaran, that did not occur. This is 10 years later, and I'm like not the same person as I'm not the same person any day. So for me, it's not in my interest to remember this event. It is certainly not in the interest of my crewman to remember, have any awareness, as he does not. It was not in his interest to know anything. It's my decision and judgment. So he's absolutely clueless, and I've never mentioned it since whatsoever. Because why would I want to do that? Basically, what I did, I took the information required and improved myself with it. But the actual memory was not in my modeling, so I never had it back again. The memory, it's not in my interest to disable myself. So I simply continued the trip as normal, which was easy, frankly. But if I was to think back to the event, then at any other time, would disable my action in the instant, which is not what we're looking for here. Um, so there you go.
just because you've done something great doesn't mean that you can be proud of it, right? I'm proud that my crewman didn't die. Whether I survived or not was hundreds of times a second of situations, so that's unimportant. But all was well that ended well. It's my best piece of helmet that I'm utterly ashamed of now that I choose to allow myself to remember it.